Welcome to the Christian Life Coach Collective. I'm Laura Malone, and I help people just like you use your wisdom and your story to grow as coaches and entrepreneurs, because I believe you're called to create great impact and real income. So your next right step starts right here. Hey friends, how's it going? I want to talk to you about who can be a coach today. I tend to just show up as a coach wherever I go, and then it ends up that I end up in conversations where I'm asking questions and I am just being me in my regular day. It happened just the other day at Costco. Just talking to somebody about something we both were looking at buying. What's that look like for you? Like, have you ever used this before? Just average conversation. And then I ask questions about the things that I hear people say. Oh, so you do that. Okay, so you use those in your yard because you have a long driveway. Oh, nice. Do you have a lot of landscaping? Just with that long driveway, I have a long driveway and I understand what it takes to light it up and care for it. Regular conversation. And it ends up that she starts talking about her job and how she works from home, how she didn't used to work from home, but the Rona and all the things. And then it goes down this road of what she does and what she wishes she could do. Ding, right there is a conversation starter for any coach that wants to be curious and think about the person in front of you and how you can serve them right then and there. And so we start talking about that. I'm like, I assure you, starting a business is not as hard as you think it is. And if it's hard in the fact that as an entrepreneur, you take all the risk, you get all the reward, but you quit working 40 hours or even 50 hours for somebody else to work 24/7 for yourself for 365. That's the case. And I just talked about being a business owner, starting a business, all of the stuff. I just talked about how I've done it, and I gave her some pointers, and that's it. And she was like, how do you know so much about what I would need for the type of business that I want to start? And I was like, I do business coaching. So I've helped a lot of people start different kinds of businesses. Oh, well, okay. Do you have a card or website? It's that I'm just being a regular person doing my regular life. I am a curious person. I listen because I have the skill that I've learned over time, not because I was born with this perfect listening skill, just because I want to hear what people have to say. So if you want that, if you think that you can learn how to listen, how to get curious, not to serve yourself, but truly to serve other people. Because when you live like you're walking through the store, oh my gosh, who could I ask questions so that I could force it into the type of conversation where I get to tell people I'm a coach? That's not going to work for you. But if you can be the kind of person who wants to serve anybody in front of you that wants help, if you want to help people, if you want to get out of your head and into other people's heads and see what's going on in there. And then instead of just being able to help them in Costco, you actually have a way, because you have an offer, you have an onboarding process. You can go from just talking to people at the grocery store to being able to help people actually do the things that they want to do in life. So anybody can be a coach if they're interested in learning how to listen better, how to be curious and ask great questions, how to not be judgmental about the people in front of you, how to not be attached to what people are thinking, feeling, doing, or the results that they get. Your thoughts, your results, what you do, it doesn't mean anything about me. I'm not going to get anything out of it, but also my results personally or as a coach are not dictated by your results as a client. I'm not attached to the fact that you want to do it differently than I would do it, right? That's non-attachment. So coaching, it just requires you being willing to serve other people more than it requires you being an expert in anything. So if you've ever thought the question, like, could I be a coach? Then I think what you really need to know isn't about skill sets as, you might just be asking for permission. A lot of people think there's police out there and they're watching you. They want to make sure, like, okay, I have all of the certifications and I have all of the knowledge and I've done all of the things and I went to the gym before I went and got fit before I went to the gym. Like, I did all these things and there's a level of perfection because the police are watching. Whoever they are, they're out there and they're going to want to know. And nobody gave me permission yet. Nobody told me I was ready. Nobody told me I was competent. Nobody told me I had the certainty of all of the fullness of confidence and there's no imposter syndrome. So there's nothing wrong. There's no reason I shouldn't be. And somebody tells me, like, now go ye therefore into all the world, be a coach. I think you're asking probably the question, like, do I have what it takes? Do I know enough? Are there people in the world who would listen to me and want what I have to offer? And under that is this underlying question of, but who am I? Who am I to do this thing? I think that's the real question. And I used to struggle with that. I used to think, who am I? I started a podcast. I had already started my business. I was already telling people I was a coach. I went through all of that imposter syndrome. I went through all of those questions and it took a long time. One of the reasons is because I didn't have anybody to help me and I didn't have a coach at the time. I didn't know how to find the right coach for me that I could afford, that was accessible to me. I didn't really have a lot of language over 10 years ago for everything that we have language for today. And underneath all of it was, who am I to do this? Even though I felt like the Lord had given me direction about serving people, helping people, mentoring, guiding, I don't know. There was just something about it that was like, as a profession, like, who am I to take on a profession or be a professional? I don't know. It's silly now looking back at it, but in the moment where you might be, it's very real. I totally understand it. But I think most of the time it's because you're lacking information, like I was, about what it is. There's attention around your identity, your calling, the anointing on your life, maybe the worthiness that you feel, the capability, right? So let's just clear it up. Coaching is not reserved for the perfect people in the world. There's no one certain type of person who can be a coach. It's not like all of the loud people, all of the confident people, all of the ones who already have it figured out, who are experts on all of these things. They're the ones who can be coaches. It's not like that. It's just not. It's not just for people who have a degree in business so that they can be a business coach. It's not the people who have the 12 certifications on their wall. And it's definitely not for all the people who have all of the answers. I haven't met anybody who has all the answers yet anyway. So all of that's actually the opposite of what coaching is. So if you do have all of the answers and you believe that, if you are an expert and you believe that you're an expert in everything, and if you have those 12 certifications framed on the wall, but you've never actually helped anybody with them, I think that's the opposite. I think a coach is somebody who wants to get in front of somebody and serve them well by listening and asking questions and holding space. And when there's a reason for it, when there's a permission from the client to give direction or say, hey, this is how I did it. When a client wants you to teach them something, then you have permission to do that. You have to earn the right to speak into somebody's life and to relate through relationship, right? So you just have to be willing to sit with people, to serve them, to listen without interrupting or turning it around and making it like about you, like you would if you were having a conversation with a friend, right? And not to be the fixer, not to be the savior, the rescuer, the hero, not to be the one who jumps in and takes over and just does it all for the person. Like, that's not the goal. You just need to stay put. Just be. It's not about doing, it's about being. And just the world is full of people who will do for you and with you. There's not enough people who will be with you. right where it is. And I think that even though that's a soft skill, it is harder than it sounds to just be. Try it. Try to be and not do. And see what kind of challenge rises up in yourself, right? We've been trained to offer help people by giving advice and solving their problems and making it better for them and doing something. But coaching is where you slow all of that down. It's like, slow your roll, coach, and let's just be. Let's be curious without having to be perfect, without having to be certain about something. And it's one of the most important things you can do is to be curious about somebody, because if you think about how many times people are curious about you in your life, you'll know it is not normal. So when you're a coach, you're not going to assume what's going on in that person's life and their mind, right? You don't decide for them what they should do, or you don't tell them that they shouldn't feel a certain way. You're asking questions about, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What happens when you feel that way? What do you do? What kind of results are your current life circumstances, the way you're doing life? What kind of results are you getting from that, right? So you are willing to stay there and hold that space for people so that they can be honest with you. Because again, there's not a lot of people out there in the world you can be honest with. And all of your clients are going to feel the same way. Like, I don't have enough people who are interested in me, who are curious enough to ask deeper questions. Most people want to just tell you what they're thinking about while you talk instead of listening. They don't ask questions to go deeper about you. And they have all of their judgments. They have all of their attachments, right? But if somebody feels judged, they're going to shut down. And they're going to filter out all of the things that they're really thinking, that they're really feeling, all the things they're going to say to you. And they're going to go into self-protection mode, right? They're not going to be a truth teller if there's judgment and attachment. If there's, let's turn the story back around and talk about me. A coach is anybody who's willing to hold that space and allow other people to be, and you be with them. And of course there's doing, of course there's learning, of course there's growing, but it all is on top of the foundation of being. I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to listen and get curious, and we're going to dig deeper, and we're going to find out what's really going on, and then what you really want, what you're thinking and feeling and doing that leads to how you got where you are, and what we need to change and what you need to change in order to have a different thought, emotion, and action to get the results you say that you want, right? So if you can create a space where people feel safe and they can feel like they can be who they are right where they are without you correcting them, without them correcting themselves, without them fixing anything, changing everything, then transformation is actually really more possible. So that's what it means to be a coach and to hold space for people. And if you can sit with people and help them be in their mind, be in their soul, like their mind, their emotions, their will is exactly who they are, and not rush them through it and let them be in their process on their journey, then you can be a coach. Yeah, you will learn all the places where you want to speed it up, you want to clean them up, you want to make it better, you want to fix something. It's okay if you start out as a coach and you recognize like, ooh, I might not be great at that. I want to do those things. You can learn how to listen and ask questions and reflect and mirror and manage your own reactions in a conversation. You can learn all of these skills. You don't have to start out like this naturally perfect coach. That's not the point of coaching, right? You just have to be willing to show up, learn, practice, and don't think that you have to be, overqualified for something. And I just want you to know that you're not disqualified because you've never done it, because you're not perfect before you start, because you haven't spent 10 years learning about it. I want you to release yourself from the expectation you would have to be right, that you would have to be an expert, and that you don't know how to do it because nobody's ever done it for you. That's a really big lie. I have done 1,000 things nobody has ever done for me or helped me with. And still, I just went and learned and I practiced, and then I do. So you can do this. And I think there's a lot of people in the world, like a lot of moms are just like, I don't know if I could be a coach or start a coaching business. I'm like, you are a coach. Oh my gosh, if you're a mom, you are already listening, already asking questions. You're already helping people process emotions and decisions and all of the conflict and all their pain. And you listen to people debrief every day when they come home from school. Like, coaching is just going to take all of those skills you're already doing and refine them. So you're not just telling your kids what to do, you're actually helping clients learn how to think. And actually, I think it makes you a better mom. Like, coaching has changed the way that I mother. That's all I can say. If you're a nurse, you can be a coach. You can, already know how to sit with people when they're like vulnerable, when they're in pain. You know how to observe and listen and respond instead of react. You just put structure around it so that that presence that you already naturally bring to the situation goes a little bit deeper. It turns your caring heart into a transformation skill. If you're a teacher, you can be a coach. You're already doing it. You are guiding, asking questions, you're teaching, you're helping people understand themselves, you're helping people understand the world around them. And coaching will shift that from delivering information to them, from educating them, into actually helping them become aware of their personal life and take responsibility and ownership of their personal life. Like, that's awesome. I think that's the heart of a lot of teachers, is I wish that I could do something to help my students put this into their lives and do something with it, right? If you're a pastor, if you're in ministry of any kind, like if you're already walking with any people who are breathing, living, breathing people, if you're already walking with them through life, through their faith, through their career, through their health, like any kind of decisions they're doing, all that happens when you say, I'm a coach, is it strengthens your ability to listen without immediately directing or fixing, and to help people hear God and determine what are the next steps that they can take. You can do it if you're a real estate agent, right? That's huge. You're navigating big decisions with people and helping them process their fears, their expectations, change management, their big life moves, right? You get to support not just the transaction, but the person and the transformation. I think I could probably go through anybody in all of the neighborhoods around me and say, like, oh, you do this already? Well, this is how coaching, you could be a coach if you did this. You just take what you're already doing and turn it into this. And that's what I do for a lot of clients that are considering becoming a coach. I help them navigate the story they already have, what they've already done, what they do, and put it into a container, like the vessel of coaching, right? It's just a way to be with people and serve people from your heart to help. It's an identity shift that you have to walk through. It's okay that you don't immediately wake up one day and go, I'm a coach. It usually takes months or years for somebody to like really, really believe and own that role. Some people say, oh, I get it. I'm totally a coach. And they wake up the next day and start telling everybody. But it's not everybody. Like, it's a mental shift. But I'm just a mom. But I'm only a teacher. I'm a real estate agent. Like, how can I be that? And I can say all day long, oh my gosh, you're a coach and you're a good coach. That you can even have people say, like, totally, you've been coaching me. It just takes time to move from this is who I believe I am to this is actually who I am. You're already doing all of these things in pieces, and you've been doing it more on a casual basis, but now you can become intentional about it and move from being available to actually being able to help people go from point A to point B. So you don't have to be a different person to be a coach. You just refine how you already show up in your life, and that is the major shift. From a faith perspective, it even makes more sense because you look at how Jesus interacted with people, and he listened and he asked questions and he met them right where they were. He didn't force them to change. He invited change. He gave them opportunities and guidance, right? He didn't do the change for them. He didn't make them change. He didn't force them to. He didn't do the work for them. And as a coach, you're not responsible for other people's outcomes and their results. You don't carry the weight. You can care. You're just not called to carry it. Like, you partner with them and you put your burdens on the Lord and trust God to do what only He can do inside your coaching relationship and your sessions and your offers, everything. It takes all the pressure off. You're not supposed to be the savior or the expert. You're not the perfect person who has to be afraid of the permission bullies. Like, it's just not, it's not real. So instead of asking, like, am I qualified or who am I to do this? I want you to start thinking about it differently and say, how do I already show up like a coach? Where and when and with who do I naturally listen well? Like, maybe it's even a topic that people talk about that encourages you and reminds you to listen well. Maybe you don't care about what everybody else is saying, so you're not listening. But when certain people talk about certain things, you start listening and you get really curious. What are those things? Think about it. Where are you already creating space for other people? Where are you already serving them? Where are you already interested in just being instead of doing all of the time? And then what would it look like to be more intentional about it? Coaching's not about you stopping who you are and what you're doing and being somebody else and doing something completely different. It's about recognizing what's already within you and thinking, what are some steps I could take to develop that so I could offer more service to more people at the right time when they need it. So just be willing, accept that skill develops over time. You've got to learn, you need to practice. But if you have a willing heart to serve people right where they are, you can learn the rest. So I encourage you to think about these things this week and think about conversations that you have or people that you meet. Even think about, where would you normally give advice, and maybe just pause instead of giving advice and instead ask a question and make it about the other person. Get into their head and out of yours. Create space where you can just be with that person instead of doing something to fix it or to tell them, or teach them, to counsel them, to direct them, correct them. And allow space for them to have their own thoughts, their own emotions, and for them to become aware of what those things are. And then they can see how their thoughts and emotions are turning into actions and results in their lives. Think about it this week for yourself. So, yeah, bless you. Remember, all things are possible. Everything's figure outable. And I'm here for you with it. So I'll talk to you next time.
Okay, if you are ready to turn your story and wisdom into impact and income, go to sterlingandstonementoring.com and let's get started together.